Well, I just want to say again, thank you guys so much for being here today. We are TMC Success Stories. I apologize for the wind. It's just now kicked up. TMC is at our strat planning meeting, mid-year strat planning meeting, planning all kinds of great things for TMC and the network. So super excited about that. But more excited today because we have Brian View with FinLocker and Kevin Peranio with PRMG. And they're going to talk today about how FinLocker helps PRMG's loan officers save time, which is incredibly important, preparing their not quite ready borrowers to get mortgage ready. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brian and KP, and you guys enjoy your conversation.
Oh, we always do.
Absolutely.
Let's keep it PG-13 today, KP.
Okay. All right. Deal.
Well, hey man, good to see you, and thanks for joining.
Of course, always. You asked me for hop on a webinar, and I'm in. You know it.
I know. I love it. So I don't know what who we have in the audience. I see a few familiar names. So welcome, and thanks to Tony and the TMC team for coordinating this short conversation today. I'll just kind of take this back a little bit and maybe set the stage for kind of how PRMG and FinLocker partnered up, and then we'll talk about kind of where things have progressed and where we're going. So, I joined FinLocker. It's going to be 3 years in about a month, which is crazy.
Yeah, Father's Day weekend, basically.
Yeah, there was no COVID back then. There was no crazy 5.5% interest rates. It was a different market in a different time for sure. But I took a chance on a startup fintech, and reached out to some friends, and along the way, ahead of joining, and then once I joined, and of course, KP, you were right there, one of the first to kind of say, let's figure this out, let's do something together, and so that conversation started literally a little over three years ago down in Augusta, Georgia, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. I think we have about 50 PRMG loan officers that are part of our first kind of wave of deployment, and your team led by Britt and Robin and Brent have been just tremendous to partner with. The FinLocker team really enjoys that engagement. We have a standing weekly call. The teams are banging through things pretty quickly, and happy to say in the last 30 to 60 days, we've seen consistent engagement from several of the PRMG loan officers. They join us on weekly calls. We kind of do some best practices conversations. And so we haven't fully launched, but we've been really diligent as partners to really get this thing right. And I think we're at a really good spot. So maybe Kevin, what we'll do is just kind of, I'll just lob a few questions your way and kind of get your feedback, on what the value prop is for your team. I know we talked about, Tony, in the bullet points, we talked about ROI as kind of an important metric. I don't think we're, realistically, we're not at a place between PRMG and FinLocker where we can point to a specific ROI, but I think we could point to clear vision on what the outcomes are that we seek. So if that's okay, we'll just kind of kick in that way.
Yeah, of course. How's my audio? Everything sound okay?
You sound good. You look great. The bar appears to be stocked behind you. Yes, I know. It's almost the weekend. I look like I'm in a prison cell here. I'm sitting in a hotel lobby. So
yeah, you should need a good Zoom background. You're set.
I know.
I would say, the thing that was really intriguing about FinLocker 3 years ago, and even more so now, is that when you talk about consumer empowerment, having control of their own data, let's take Mint, for example, right? You may have heard of it. It's like budgeting, right? You could budget for your home. Then there's Credit Karma. Maybe you're interested in your credit score and you want to kind of be empowered to improve it or monitor it or seek changes. Well, both of those are in FinLocker. So both those functionalities are in FinLocker. Plus, it's, really geared towards, owning a home, not just, all the parts of financial literacy, which is all wrapped into an increasingly and getting more improved all the time UI and UX. I got to tell you, when the difference between like 1.0 and 2.0 and 3.0, I mean, it's unbelievable. If someone actually looks at what the consumer looks at, the FinLocker, it's world class. I mean, it's like someone at Apple made it. I mean, it's that good. And so for us, we're being part of the journey for 3 years now, and even talking to the team before you joined, I was a huge fan of it. I love the concept of having borrowers take control of their own data. Then you guys went and worked out, agreements with Fannie and Freddie, and you're able to have, this link to desktop underwriter and soft pulls and credit and all these different things that are going on. I mean, it's like a lead nurturing system on steroids. So, the other part of it that I like, that it's not just the consumer empowerment, because that can be hit or miss. If maybe you have a consumer that's just as less engaged as they are on your normal CRM or with your loan officer, maybe they just think you're a transaction. But if someone isn't actually engaging in the locker and they're interested in the locker, they've already kind of weeded themselves out as being one of those consumers that is more engaging. So I think that is that's a really cool aspect of FinLocker. And then you bring in the nurturing aspect of lead flow. I mean, now's the best time to have leads being nurtured. How many people are on the sidelines or have been on the sidelines and now might be on the sidelines a little bit longer, right? Higher interest rates, it does impact certain people on the margin. I mean, you see some of the data points where, housing is slowing. It's not, regressing, but it's not as fast as it was before. The amount of home sales, the amount anecdotally of offers, for every, listing, the amount of people showing up, to open houses, it's kind of slowed a little bit. We're now maybe getting to a more normal housing market where there's seasonal trends, and nurturing a lead a little bit longer is even that much more important. So you've got this like confluence of nurturing leads longer and, borrower empowerment of their own data in like a world-class manner. That's FinLocker. And
Love it.
Yeah, it's great. And, we've got, like you said, we have 50 LOs. That number continues to grow. I mean, originators are looking for an edge right now. They want something unique that sets them apart, that makes them different than, the email, like happy birthday and, happy national, tortilla chip day, or I think today's nurses and doctors day, whatever it is. I mean, we've seen all those things and we've seen all the, the different drips and everything, but this is just so unique. And so I love that. It's very forward thinking, and it's for us, it's for our industry.
Thank you for that, KP. I wanted to go a little deeper now and just talk about kind of what we've seen with some of your LOs and how they're leveraging the Paramount Data Vault, which is the PRMG branded instance of FinLocker. And so just so the listeners and the audience knows, what we've deployed for PRMG is a custom white label app, right? It's a financial fitness app, but it's beyond that. And KP kind of hit on some of the key feature functions. And what has been cool to see is you have a few of the LOs in this first group of 50, I would call kind of influencers on social media. They've kind of built a following of consumers, young consumers, digitally savvy, kind of forward-leaning consumers. And what's been cool is watching how they're using the feature functionality of the data vault to expand their audience and really kind of not necessarily, they're not creating content that's mortgage specific. What we're seeing is content that's being created that's talking about financial fitness and all the things that are important around financial fitness. Oh, and by the way, if you're thinking about buying a home, we'll have great content for you on this channel, yada, yada, yada. But they're using kind of the other features of the app, and you hit on a few: the credit monitoring, credit alerts, the credit simulator, the budgeting, the savings goals, the embedded education content, et cetera. They're using that as a way to acquire consumers into their kind of brand, into their personal brand. Beyond FinLocker and what we're doing together, I'm seeing more loan officers at other companies take that kind of digital first kind of influencer strategy. And I think having a tool like a data vault that you can point people to just makes a ton of sense there as well.
Yeah, amen. I mean, you could do a dozen 1-minute clips, just featuring one functionality at a time of what's on there. I mean, just the little sliding bars that are on there that kind of make the numbers adjust for your budget and your payment. I mean, I'm telling you, like, it's world class. I know I'm not doing it justice because, we're probably talking to salespeople. And if you're like me, I'm a big dumb sales guy. I like pictures, but man, I guess I tell you, like, the way it's dialed in, the way you can use it. Again, your design team is, I don't know where you found them, but they're unbelievable.
Well, we appreciate that. And just so that everyone gets the due credit that's deserved, we've talked about the engagement that's been kind of ongoing for 3 or so years. A lot of what we continue to build out in the product, not just from a feature functionality, not just from an engagement or a UI UX, but kind of all things in between, comes from user feedback. So the consumers who are actually using the tool, we solicit feedback from them, and we build that into our kind of feedback loop. But probably more important is the feedback we get from the team at PRMG during our weekly calls. We get ideas every week from the originators that are coming on to talk. They'll say, if this thing just did this over here, that opens up a whole new audience for me to communicate to. And so we take that feedback, it goes into our kind of product ideation and the design process, and then over time it gets prioritized for implementation. So it's kudos to the partnership with PRMG. And I don't think this is to be understated. When we at FinLocker, when we engage a client, so as we're engaging lenders and others in the space, we treat it as a partnership, because we understand that the product that FinLocker has built is representing PRMG and the originators that are using it. And so when your consumers and your customers are engaged with the data vault, that's not about FinLocker, that's all about PRMG. And so we take pride in that. We take it very seriously. So the feedback that comes back from the team is super important. We got a few minutes left. I want to hit on really a segment of the market that obviously is significant and will continue to be significant. That's this first-time homebuyer segment. So, that first-time homebuyer segment is made up of typically younger generations. So we believe they're leaning more towards a digital first experience. But what we find is, as much as they want the digital first experience, they crave and they need that local expertise. And so maybe talk a little bit about what the strategy is with the data vault to kind of bring together the digital first experience of FinLocker and emphasize that local expertise that your originators bring to their markets.
Well, it kind of dovetails off the last point you made. I mean, your team has helped us create a custom app. So the white label, the process, Nick and, everyone who meets with our people weekly, again, you listen to our feedback and you talk with us. And so, and we pride ourselves on being a local lender. If you look at the biggest online lenders out there, the guys from Detroit, even 90% of their consumers still talk to someone. Yeah. It's not like, they just go through the whole process digitally. People want their handheld, especially first-time home buyers, which the best option for a first-time home buyer is a local originator. And so this app, which, gets, worked and customized together, your team and our team, to be something that empowers our originators on a local level, it's working. So, I can tell you, I mean, our consumers are digging it because, you know, there's the local originator that is serving them, that's teaching them financial literacy, that's right there, you know, in the app and working together with them. So I cannot say enough about, you know, the feeling of a custom app for local originators, that, you know, what we get for FinLocker.
KP, you're the man. I love it. Thank you so much for joining. Tony, did we cover what you wanted us to cover today?
Absolutely. You know what? You guys are, you're the epitome of collaboration. You know, you're speaking to family and network, and you're speaking to true TMC success in that you are creating this. I need a financial fitness app.
Right on.
So I need you guys to sign me up right now for it, because it sounds amazing. So yes, this was perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your success story. Thank you so much for being part of the network. And we truly appreciate all that you do for TMC. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, KP.
Excellent.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, TMC. Thank you, BB.
See you guys.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.